Namaste. This is course 101 and presented by American Hindu Academy. It is now we are moving forward, giving an overview of different aspects. And today's lesson is how do Hindus view creation? And the Sanskrit word for it is Srishti. And the component, of course, Srishti means many universes and many solar systems and galaxies. But we are going to focus on our own world, which we call Jagat. And there are many Jagats, but we are going to talk about our own planet and how Hindus believe in that. So we start right away. It's the lesson about Prakriti. What is it? What is Prakriti? So we are going to focus on that. What are the elements it is made of? Various elements, components, which make it a integrative whole, which is aware of itself and moves in a repetitive kind of way. And yet there is some kind of spiral effect in the sense that things remain the same and yet they are evolving. So we are going to talk about in more simple ways, but this is something philosophic which is behind this very simple lesson. So how did Hindu philosophers view it? We are going to talk about that. How does modern science reach almost similar conclusions? And it's amazing that what was said about 5,000 years back or 4,000 years back, the science has arrived almost to similar conclusions. Of course, they call it experimentation, but then experimentation is also by observing and verifying the facts. So let's talk about the creation now, Prakriti. And the 5 basic elements that Shankaracharya has explained and previously mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also. There are 5 elements, and these are space, which is awareness around us, air, fire, water, and Prithvi. And Hindus believe that there was space, and then the air entered. And once the air entered, the friction caused fire, and fire and water, the air brought water, and eventually water life started and land solidified. And the first creation was algae, living things. And from there, the evolution began. And that is exactly what it is. So the elements, the nature of Prakriti is that I'll read this, the Sanskrit explanation as given by Shankaracharya. He says, Asti bhati priyam rupam namam pratek ansha panchakam aditriyam 3 aditriyam brahma sarupa jagat rupa tato dvayam. Now, meaning of this is that the creator and the creation have 5 aspects. They exist, asti. It's real. Bhati, it is totally aware of itself, or it has communicative ability. And it is very attractive, blissful. However, there are other things to it. We give it name, and we conceive it or perceive of it in a certain fashion. We have a visual image as well as a name tag. So these five things. Now he says that the first three are which is Asti Bhati Priyam. These are in the nature of things. They are there. Nobody created this except the divine being, whatever, divine energy. The name and form we give. Now, this is extremely important, that all this turmoil and chaos can be avoided by the simple perception that different sections of people in different regions with their own different experience can give it any name and can view it or visualize it in any form. Once we realize that this is different sections will describe it differently and give it different names, the whole turmoil and the infighting among human beings will go away. So the meaning is the creator and the creation have five elements. They are attractive. The first three are of the form of Brahma, and the last two the word gives. In other words, society have given names to all those imaginary forms according to their own language. This is very vital to understand that Hindus imagine the divine in various ways. And there is total freedom to visualize or imagine it in any given form or way, or name it in any way. And there is also the freedom, when we say total freedom also is not to believe in any form and not to give it any name. Just let it remain. Nothing will happen. The Srishti will not change, the nature will not change. It is just that we are not trying to define it, describe it, name it. So, entire creation, with a few exceptions, of course, single cell creation, all of them, they have two components. You look at vegetation, plants, trees, all have male and female flowers. We usually say that there should be two trees or two plants of the same kind so that there's a cross-pollination. Pollinizers bees are pollinizers, and sometimes human beings have to do it. What they are trying to do is combine the male and the female flowers for creating something like vegetable or fruit. So Hindus believe that there is a unity in nature. Unity means if it is awareness of all the other elements, like it responds to the air by waving, it breathes the air and growing, it is absorbing the sunlight, it is responding to the darkness. That means it is one unit with self-awareness and which correspond to each other and the whole environment around it. So unity in nature. Therefore, Hindus respect all living beings and they try to ensure sanctity of life. Sanctity of life, which means all life is created equal and it is sacred. So, it is not wanton destruction of forests. It is not wanton destruction of fish or water life or birds. We will go into it in detail a little later. So basically, sanctity of life means we respect all life. Now, another basic principle on which the Hindu ideas about the nature exist, that is indestructibility of matter. Science is based on that. Matter is indestructible. If it is indestructible, then it cannot be manufacturing itself or manufacture itself or expand in infinite directions. What it does is that it churns itself. And we'll see, when a plant dies, what really happens? It does not disappear, right? Because that particular thing, the aspects of the plant, they have changed, they have transformed, they look like dead, or they look like part of the soil, but that has not vanished altogether. It has simply changed forms. It is very basic lesson that we should give it to our children, and adults can also just go outside and look at the nature, how it is. It is simple observation, but focusing on the change. So there is a balance and order in the nature. Since there is a balance and order, and since it is, it never dies, matter never dies, it changes forms. So there are cycles of change, cycles of transformation, and evolution. The effect of the gravitational pole and the magnetic field, especially at the poles, have effect on nature and environment. So it is, and that also becomes part of the whole, which means unity in the nature of things, including gravitational pull or magnetic pull, and our entire environment, which is responding to all the other planets and other things. We believe that. That observation of pattern and order gave rise to the laws of physics. That observation of pattern and order, that there is not chaos in the cosmos, there is a pattern, and you can feel that pattern. We call it rhythm. Now the same physical laws are being verified through observation and lab experimentation. While we explore and research the nature of our own solar system, and particularly the cyclical nature of change, the Brahmand, the universe, or the amalgam of universes couldn't care less. Whether it makes sense to us or not, it just continues. It is a automatic, cyclical, orderly nature of change of nature. And it may make sense to us, who the Brahmand has nothing to do with it. The universal divine energy or consciousness couldn't care less. So we should not be also too much focused. To my mind, we need not focus on what the divine will do if we interpret the reality of the Prakriti in this way or that way. It doesn't matter to the divine being. So, of course, our own actions do determine the fate of the humanity or fate of the plants and nature. And that is our responsibility to maintain it or destroy it. But as far as the divine being is concerned, it will not make any change to itself. So, I mean, you can raise questions to it. And I would appreciate that those who are viewing these lessons, they should post some kind of comments so that I can satisfy the answers, satisfy your curiosity, or if you need any kind of further explanation, I'm able to give it, or at least we'll try. So please do give your comments and feedback and raise questions, because nothing is absolute. In Hindu thought, we do not believe in absolute explanation. So it is relative to a place or time. We are going to do that in this slide. So things are constantly in a fluid state. So time and space, they define the dynamics of the world. Hindus believe that the world is dynamic and not static. Hindus do not believe in absolutes and finality of conclusions, that this is final. No. Beyond the horizon, there are many things to explore, and we haven't yet explored. So there's a popular saying in India, in Hindu thought, that Jagat is mithya. Jagat mithya. Mithya is false, and the world is an illusion. Here, mithya means illusion. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It means that which exists and is in motion will be constantly changing. Somebody is born, somebody dies. Somebody moves, somebody comes. Think of Jagat as the airport lobby. You are sitting there, people are moving very fast in one direction, the other direction, dragging their baggage. We call it karma. And but everybody, and it seems like totally chaotic. But each of the person moving knows the destination and also knows his or her gate, how to go there, and how to get rid of the baggage. In other words, change is relative to time and space. We are all, our duties depend where we are in terms of the lifespan and where we are as far as the region is concerned, space. So change is relative to time and space, and so is human experience of particular ecological conditions at a certain point of time. Now, I believe you are all aware that of the fact that every human being responds to a given situation, ecological condition, at a certain point of time in different ways. And I usually, as a teacher, look at the notes people are preparing when I'm talking. And if you just glance through the notes of each person, even person sitting next to you, the notes are not the same. Because my lesson is absorbed by different people according to their own prior cognition and experience. So that is why we say Desh, which is space, Kal, which is time. Desh, Kal, Nimit, bound by time and space. This is the nature of the creation, our real world. And this creation goes through peaks and declines. Again, it is not dead. It is in a different state. So in a time frame of 4.3 billion years, which we call Kalpa, the world sees catastrophes, disasters, civilizations emerge, evolve, reach a certain peak, and then decay. Just as any human being has a certain lifespan. Similarly, the creation itself has a certain lifespan. And after that, we believe that there will be, life will not be the same as um, as we see it today. It can self-destruct as well. So a kalp is divided in 14 parts known as manvantras, and there is a partial annihilation of civilization in certain parts. And we know that natural changes have occurred all through the recorded history. There was an ice age, and then gradually the ice started melting, glaciers were formed. And eventually there were, in certain places on the coastal areas of the landmass, there were deluge, many places. And the coastal areas were swallowed by rising waters. These are natural changes that are happening. So the cycle will continue till the earth is no longer able to sustain life. The decline and decay occur for many reasons. There are natural reasons, and then they are due to negative actions of the kings, the rulers, and societies. And that is why Hindu thought and belief system or explanations of the nature are purely scientific and extremely relevant to modern times. Do we want our negative actions to destroy the nature or change it in a very negative way so that it cannot support human beings? And these are various peaks and declines. Now, the change in the world extends to the changes in the solar system as well. And this is the cosmic dance of Shiva, which is considered consciousness, the life itself, and the pure air that we breathe. There are various elements to Shiva's symbolism. This one happens to be created, I think, about 1200 years back, originally made of 5 elements, alloys. It is a metal sculpture, and it defines how the cosmos is exactly changing in its own way. And let us see how it is. Explanation of the symbol is, I am quoting 2 of the very famous physicists, actually, astrophysicists. One of them is very recent, actually, both are. Carl Sagan said that Shiva, as the king of dance, shows the rhythmic cycle of birth, transformation, and death of life. We are still talking about the nature of our world. It also signifies that the world as we see it today may not be there at the end of the kalpa. Creation and annihilation are integral part of all life. Now, annihilation here means not totally disappearing. It means going through a certain kind of metamorphosis. So the upper right hand has tabor, which symbolizes the sound of creation. The right hand, the lower right hand, is raised in half moon gesture. The upper left hand has flame of destruction in its palm, and the lower left hand is showering blessing. One leg is raised, indicating being above the material world and yet living in it, not too much involved, unattached. And the other leg presses hard on all that is negative and evil. Now let's go back to the slide again, and let's see on this hand, there is Damru, which is the symbol of creation. And this hand is giving blessings. And the half moon circle here is shown. And then one leg is raised, that you can be above the material nature, rise above it and be unattached. And this is to uh, destroy all the negative thinking or negative elements in society. And this flame is the destruction of all or change in all that we see. Eventually, with time, the universe itself will be coming to a different form or shape, with life or no life, who knows. Now, let's go back to another quotation. And this, he wrote it in Tao of Physics, Capra. He says, modern physics has shown that the rhythm of creation and destruction is not only manifested in the turn of the seasons and in the birth and death of all living creatures, but also in the very essence of inorganic matter. For modern physicists, then, Shiva's dance is the dance of subatomic matter. In Hindu philosophy, these subatomic particles are called Pramanu. So, hundreds of years back, Indian artists created visual images of dancing Shivas in a beautiful series of bronzes. Today, physicists have used the most advanced technology to portray the pattern of cosmic dance, and thus the metaphor of the cosmic dance unifies ancient religious art with modern science. So, the cosmic dance explains all that is knowable with our finite minds in a visual way with the help of this image. So, what are the lessons for our generation on the basis of all the previous points that we raised and discussed? The lesson is that we conserve resources and respect environment. So conservation started in America around the beginning of the last century. Environmentalism is still being debated, whether it should be, polluted or preserved. And we know the historic roots. Man creates ecological balance, and man can destroy it as well. There are two different views how man should react to the ecological balance. So, in certain theologies, man is considered the master of all creation and has unbound freedom to do anything to any species, because God has given him this right. Man, not woman. He can do anything to woman as well. Man is the master of all, male, of all creation, and has unbound freedom to do anything to any species, including women. If there are too many horses, let us destroy some of them, kill them, because there are too many of them bothering us. Too many cows, let us get rid of 5 million cows. Too many geese, they are bothering people moving in cars. They are on the roadside or crossing the road. Destroy them. So we are endangering species, and we are also making them extinct. Now, what does this do? There is no sanctity of life. And once we cross to endangerment and extinction of species, we no longer believe in sanctity of all life. and we disturb the eco-balance. So the principle that we should respect our life is the only way to create eco-balance. Finally, I want to sum it up like this. For humanity, we are on a critical juncture. We can create it as a wasteland, colored blood red. We can destroy all the natural resources by excessive consumption of things, buying things, throwing them away, throwing them in the landfill. Excessive consumerism. We call it consumerism. There's no such thing as excessive. Consumerism by definition means we are focused on consumption and destruction. Then polluting. Normally, when you put something harmful in the water, it is pollution. So oil spills, that is pollution. Breaking ridges under the ocean, that is destroying the ecological balance of the water life. And similarly, these man-made material, which are not biodegradable, they pollute the water, the air, everything. So now what is the role that Hindu Dharma plays? In the current scenario, Hindu Dharma says we should conserve resources, we should lead a simple life, and we should not run after desires for this thing, that thing, one television, 2, 3, one car, 5, and big house, small house, move on and on. This is called moving on. Actually, this is moving on to a very destructive path. So, Hindu Dharma plays a vital role in saving the humanity from making the earth a wasteland or polluting all resources, and eventually we all become victims to various kind of diseases, mental and physical. Having said that, please consider all these points very carefully, because today's world with today's attitudes will not be sustained. And it is the responsibility of the next generation to think about it at this critical juncture. Thank you very much. I will see you next time, and we will continue.